Our second quote here comes from the preamble of the IWW Constitution. So the IWW is a radical union. And it says the working class and the employing class have nothing in common, nothing at all, the workers and the employers. There can be no peace so long as hunger and want are found among millions of the working people, and the few who make up the employing class have all the good things of life. Between these two classes, a struggle must go on until the workers take possession of the means of production, abolish the wage system, and live in harmony with the earth. By organizing, we are forming the structure of the new society within the shell of the old. And I like this quote too because it highlights a couple of important things, that the difference between the working class and they call them the employing class. It could be the ruling class, the capitalists, lots of different terms for it. But it's the people that benefit from this capitalist system, the people that benefit from exploiting the workers. And they have all the good things in life, but not everyone does, right? It's only this small class, and they get that on the backs of everyone else. And again, this struggle is all about making sure that everyone has wealth. The land is filled with wealth for everyone, not just the few. We're not exploiting anyone. We're all working together to make sure that everyone has their needs met. And this one goes further to say abolish the wage system in general. So that's something you'll definitely never hear from any mainstream politician. But it also says live in harmony with the earth, right? So we're trying to envision what socialism means. If a socialist society were to be created, what does it mean? And hopefully with these quotes, you're starting to get kind of a concept of it, right? That it means that everyone has their needs met, that we don't have this one small group of people exploiting everyone else. Instead, everyone is working together cooperatively in a real democracy. Everyone has a say in decision making. We're living in harmony with the earth. There's all kinds of good things here. You have any comments on that, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really important quote to understand why we're here doing this workshop as green socialists, right? And not as quote unquote progressive Democrats, right? I definitely, everybody should check out the ebook that we put out during the presidential campaign, the Hawkins Walker campaign, the case for the bottom left party, because in it, Howie makes a really important distinction, I think, and often this inside-outside debate, right? The idea of should the left work within the Democratic Party or should the left be independent of them? It's often portrayed in our modern political discourse as a strategy debate. And Howie in this short, very short, 30 pages, broken into, I don't think any sections more than 1 or 2 pages, real easy short ebook. But Howie says this isn't strategy. Independence is a fundamental thing to socialism, right? And it's really important that we understand that, because if we're coming into the fight for socialism with a, progressive liberal perspective that we can ask capitalists nicely, or maybe pass some, alterations to the tax code or regulations that will all of a sudden deliver socialism, right? And if we're coming in this with that perspective, we're doomed to fail, right? We're never going to see socialism. Another great Debs quote is, I'd rather vote for what I want and not get it than vote for what I don't want and get it, right? I would say that the overwhelming majority of socialists, self-proclaimed socialists in the United States, voted for a right-wing capitalist in the 2020 election, right? So how are we getting socialism? By engaging and giving all of our energies and giving all of our power to capitalist entities like the Democratic Party, like the Working Families Party, like debatably DSA, depending on who you're talking to in the chapter, right? So how are we, it's really important that we, think about this quote and the really key point of independence and the fact that we have nothing in common with the capitalist class, right? We cannot beg our way to anything more than table scraps. That's all we'll ever be given. And those table scraps even will only ever be given when we're in crisis and they need to save capitalism, right? Those table scraps will only ever come like when FDR passed the New Deal, a very stripped down New Deal from what socialists had proposed. But that action by FDR, which is often proclaimed as socialism by by conservatives and liberals in the United States, was actually, a defining moment in saving capitalism, and retaining capitalism as the major, driving economic and political ideology in the United States. So we really, it's really important when we talk socialism to understand we're talking about independent of the capitalist parties. We cannot use them as, use the very vehicles that oppress us, the very parties, institution, and people that oppress us, to achieve liberation. That's never happened. That's not how it works. So I think that's a really important part of this quote is, there's all the great stuff about, and the forward thinking stuff from from probably one of the oldest unions talking about harmony with the earth. When the IWW was forming, the Soviet Union was the large, identifier of the left, and they were definitely not in harmony with the earth. They were just as much a destructive, production-based, resource exploitation-based, economy at the time that the IWW was coming up. So there's all that really nice stuff. But for me, what I think the really important thing is drawing the line in the sand, right? There's the working class and there's the owners, and the owners are never going to give us the keys to their own undoing, right? They're never gonna end the sweet ride that they have voluntarily. So we've got to keep that in mind, and we've got, especially in the United States, with the level of repression we face, right? As socialists, it can be very easy to drift into, Sunrise Movement, to drift into DSA, to drift into these, front groups that largely play an inside game with the Democratic Party. And, to quote Howie again, like Garrett did earlier, and then once you're in there, you're lost in the sauce. You're just another Democrat when it comes to what they think of you. And they don't know that you're actually a socialist trying to, overthrow capitalism, not just reform it. So.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.